Welcome back to another session of Guillens World with Ozzie Guillen. Senior missing. He's actually on his way to the ballpark. They got a 6 o'clock game, I believe. They're out in Tampa playing again. I want to bring you guys always the updated news of what's going on in the game of baseball. Only right off the bat, one of the best managers, in my opinion, in the past 20 years since he has a World Series ring and was only at 1 out away of again going again to the World Series. Girardi fired after just a few seasons with a team that was very promising in the Philadelphia Phillies. He is no longer a manager of that team, and obviously they're giving in this season.
Very shocking, but I have to commend Dave Dombrowski and the Philadelphia organization for making this move. I know it's not easy, but when things are not going well, this is usually what tends to happen. And it is not easy to do for teams to basically say, it's not working out. We haven't even reached the All-Star break yet, and they realize it's not working out. When you have the same record as the Baltimore Orioles, but the Baltimore Orioles have the 4th lowest payroll in baseball, and the Philadelphia Phillies have invested a lot. And that's usually what happens. You don't really see it happening all the time, especially someone of the caliber of George Girardi, who won a World Series in 2009. He had an opportunity to manage the Marlins in Florida and the Yankees. And then the Phillies, where like a few teams out there, were teams that were heavily invested in Bryce Harper and other free agents. And when you invest like that, people expect results.
So he was year 2. So he had the COVID year, I believe, and then he had last season. And then this was technically his 2.5 year. The part that I was very surprised upon is, so I wanted to break down kind of like scenarios where this could go bad. It can't get worse. So when you let your manager go, the fact that most general managers don't go out there and find another manager that they're going to pay another $5 million to is because they want to see what they have. They want to do their due diligences. They want to, obviously be able to explore. But there has been cases, okay, in the game of baseball where a manager has come in, and we were very close to one of them.
Well, 3.
In 2003, a very good manager, Jeff Torber, was let go, a team that was underperforming. At the time, the story goes that the pitching coach wanted to fire the pitching coach. Jeff did not believe that the pitching coach should be fired, so they fired both of them. And they brought in a gentleman, a very well-known baseball guru at the time, still one of the best baseball minds I've been around, in the name of Jack McKeon. Okay, and I had to Google him because I had heard about his name, and I was like, yes, there was only one Jack McKeon, and actually Jack was a general manager when Ozzie Guillen was drafted, and he was a part of all that. And when Ozzie's on again, we'll talk about it with him. But Jack basically took the team over, pressured the team to get Dontrell Willis and Miguel Cabrera called up just to kind of test out what they can bring out in the big league.
Jeff was pushing for that earlier.
Jeff was pushing that for earlier, but they make it happen. It didn't happen for Jeff. It happens for obviously for Jack. They get hot, basically just run through the National League East, get into the playoffs as a wild card, beat everyone. Giants, they beat the Giants,
the Yankees,
in World Series,
and then the Cubs.
So successful story for Jack McKeon. Ozzie Guillen gets to become a manager from it. A lot of great things happen. Ivan Rodriguez finally gets his World Series, but it was that move that was made. Had the Marlins not won that year, maybe Ozzie Guillen is the next manager of the Marlins. Meaning
most likely,
would have been.
But
I'm saying,
I think what teams do, and I don't remember if Jack was working for the Marlins or not.
No. Jack was Jack. So the George Girardi story though, of him going, and then that interim manager, where they said he's an interim manager.
Yeah, meaning they're going to
get
somebody else.
Guy's playing with house money. Bench coach playing with house money. The Phillies get hot. They go on a streak. It's all great, because here's the thing. They needed to send a message to the players. You cannot fire 26 players.
Yeah, you can.
So you usually fire people around the players so a message is sent. Clear message from the Phillies. Dombrowski, because Dombrowski's hearing it from the owner. This is what people don't get. Dombrowski, there's a wave of command. There's a chain of command. Dombrowski's hearing it from the owners. He's hearing it from the investors saying, what are we going to do? Why aren't we winning? What's this? And his only first move is, I think I put a pretty good team together. Okay, but the manager, they're not performing at this manager. Let me change it up.
Which I kind of agree. I mean, it does suck to be a manager because, your fate really relies on players' performances. But that's why they get paid the big bucks to be in the hot seat, especially in a very competitive division. Yeah. It does not help that the Mets already have like an 11 or 12 game
Mhm.
lead, it really hurt them. And it's not that they're 7 games under 500. I think 7 or 8 games under 500. They could get hot, but most likely other teams will win too.
We'll keep winning. But here's a part though that people don't
So-
understand about this. You let a guy go because obviously Dombrowski and the Phillies did not believe that Girardi was the guy for the next year. So why let him stay the whole season?
Right.
And have a horrible record.
And
paid.
economically, the Phillies owners basically said, "Hey, let's do it." And that's why I said,
Let's eat the money.
I respect them. They're
Let's
eating the money. And
How many years did he have left? I have not seen how many
I
years
think
he
he
had
had 1 or 2 years.
left. One more.
left.
So they're eating the money, but basically
Or a year
saying
with an option.
in the future he wasn't the fix. So right now we got Joe Madden that's lost.
And I'm sure there's another job waiting for him in the MLB Network.
So MLB Network, but I threw out this one earlier, okay? And people were like, "What are you talking about?" I said Joe Girardi becomes an automatic candidate. I'm not saying Tony La Russa is going to get fired. Again, White Sox fans, I am not saying Tony La Russa is going to get fired. I think this is Tony's job until Tony decides it's no longer his. At Tony's age, okay, one conversation can change your next season. Tony's not thinking about 3 years from now I'm going to be managing the White Sox. So if Tony steps away,
I don't think
he comes back next year.
I think this is Tony's last year.
Yeah.
And I think everybody pretty much knows that and what role he'll have in the organization if he wants one.
If he wants one, it could be anything he wants. Advisor.
Do I think Joe Girardi is an excellent candidate for the Sox job? Absolutely. Do I think they go that route? I don't. They might try to steer away from experienced managers. I really don't know. If you ask me what that organization's thinking, I have
no idea. So the follows. You always have to say like the most obvious thing is like when you have a wife or a girlfriend, you usually try to go opposite of what you had. So
if you're dating a blonde, you go for a brunette.
Yeah, and vice. So and same thing with guys. If your guy was like into sports, you might try to date a guy that's more into like more of the reading and the opera. Again, you always look for opposites. So Tony being a little bit older in the older end. Experience, they might go younger.
And the Phillies can mirror themselves. Jerry very unlikely is not going to fire Tony La Russa or anyone mid-season. Basically, he will give them.
Well, 2 days ago, he did a couple in 20 years. No, more than 20 years. I think it was like 30 years.
He fired Tony.
No, he fired Gene Lamont mid-season in Cleveland, the beginning of the white flag trade.
Oh, and then
the next season was a white flag trade. But it's so funny. Here's the thing: people don't get this. People on the media, okay, you have Google next to you. You have media members and fans out there writing that was the white flag trade year, and I was like, no, it wasn't. Gene Lamont happened a couple years before white flag trade. White flag trade
was 1997.
Terry Bevington was the manager of the white flag trade.
Ozzie Guillens was still active.
Yeah,
I remember it because as a fan of the team, I'm like, why are we trading guys? Basically saying. We're not going to compete.
I want to talk to the media guys, and I had a conversation with them a couple of years ago about that. I talked about Ozzie. There was no social media back then. I was asking, did you guys expect for Gino to get fired? He just won the division, and he was not under 500. He was almost there, and he just got hacked.
I think it's one of those things that it's very rare, especially that's why it made such big news, especially guys of Gene Lamont's caliber or Joe Girardi. But it comes with the territory. It is what it is.
Does Joe Madden start worrying? Joe Madden's 8 games. He's just lost an 8-game winning streak. Like he's on an 8-game losing streak. Actually,
I think Joe Madden is very, very safe.
I saw that too. They put him on a list. I said,
no, I think
they're. Why would you change? Even if they're losing, why would you change that dynamic?
Nowadays you got to be very, very. You don't know what kind of leash you have with the organization.
No.
So guys are on the hot seat every day, not just in baseball, in every sport. You lose 2 or 3, you're in danger. I think Chicago, I think Philadelphia, teams that have gone out and spent money, I know David Ross is not worried about his job.
And he shouldn't be, because again, when you're in, and this is the pressure.
If ownership makes the commitment, then you feel pressure.
I want to talk about this though.
Mark Kotsay is not under any pressure.
That's why I root for Oakland. But I'm going to say this real quick. Everyone puts it on Tony. Okay, that's his job. He's responsible. He's been doing it for a long time. He gets it. Okay. There are things that we love about Tony. There's things that we thought he'd do differently. We wanted him to maybe be a little bit older school Tony, kind of being meaner to the guys. That's our opinion. Again, that's just mine personally. I'm a mean old guy. I like that in managers. I'm going to be honest with you though, because I have a father that lives very close to me, and I'm very close to Ozzie. I'm very close to other former managers. I talk to current major league managers that are in managing currently. the Chicago White Sox were one of the most attractive teams. Bruce, but everyone was text messaging saying them, the Padres, the Mets, a lot of sexy teams, Philadelphia, but the White Sox were the most exciting team because on paper, this team was perfect. So when they approached Tony La Russa, okay, had this roster been more the Guardians, Minnesota, Baltimore, there's very little teams that get compared to this. To get a guy out of retirement to put his legacy on the line.
Well,
he basically said, "I don't think
he took the job for his own selfish reasons. He thought he could win.
He thought he could win. I don't think right now he's saying it's like when you have a problem or you have a business and you're saying this is going to be a cakewalk,
and it's
meaning I'm going to get to the playoffs every year. I literally just have to turn it on in the playoffs, and it has completely turned on him. The fact that these guys are not playing even at the level. So people are saying Tony's should be coaching. He's like, I've never coached somebody on base running. Like, I'm not like, so that comparison of him, and I wish he can come out and say, like, you guys think that I'm underperforming? I thought these guys were going to be amazing. Like, I thought I was going to come here. And this is like people don't get this. Tony La Russa coming out of retirement is like if Joe Torre tomorrow steps down from Major League Baseball and says, I'm taking over the Mets. Or I'm taking over the Cleveland, the Guardians.
It's not, I'll say this. Baseball, we sit here all the time, and baseball is such a hard sport to predict because obviously no one expected the Sox to be this bad. I mean, if they were in any other
kind if
they were in any other division, they'd be.
But here's the part, though. It's not about winning and losing on the division. This is another separation of things, though. There's teams that lose that they don't have games on the division because the other team is just better and they're getting beat, and it's like you can make up. Statistically, looking at the numbers, base running, batting averages, performance,
I'm surprised.
Prospects, the only two guys, okay, and one that's sort of waking up. The only two individuals on the offensive side, because the pitching has been pretty decent, except the bullpen. Hendricks has been awesome. The starting pitching has been great, except the last couple of days. Tim Anderson is an all-star. He'll be in the all-star team. And Andrew Vaughn should be an all-star, meaning performance-wise. Everyone else in between those guys, Abreu started to wake up the last 10 games, got a hitting streak. Pantera, my boy Moncada, everyone else on that list, young, old, first year in the big leagues, 10th year in the big leagues, all underperforming.
Well, I also think it's an alarming factor about how all these guys in their mid-20s get hurt. It's very, very, very.
What do you think it happens though? Let's dig into that. Why do you think guys get hurt?
I'm not a physical therapist. I don't know why Eloy Jimenez gets hurt so much. I don't know why Yohan Moncada has so much problem with his legs. I don't know why Tim Anderson has so many problems. It is crazy to think that Jose Abreu is the most durable player.
So I have a theory.
Is the most durable player the Sox have had. You're in your 20s. Like, why are these guys going down?
I think Jose Abreu is used to playing with pain. And he can perform at a high level with a high pain tolerance. I think that players today, because they are they take care of their bodies better, meaning the teams, they have a bruised toe. I'm saying a bruised toe, they won't play.
Jose can play through, because there's a difference between pain and injury.
I think he's just mentally tough that he can play.
I don't understand. I was like, there's not one day in everyone's life, especially if you're over 30s, no one feels 100%.
Well, number one, there's no more drugs in baseball.
Yeah.
So you can't bring me up.
There's going to be soreness. There's going to be nooks and like crannies, and there's going to be stuff, and it is what it is. But all teams are going through it. Like,
you don't think Jose Ramirez is probably tired and sore?
I really don't get it, and I don't
think Manny Machado's sore.
So I don't understand what it has to do with. But
I think is a mental toughness, and I want to jump off the White Sox, but there's a given moment for me in a season where I think that I judge this team, and there's moments for me in different parts of when I think teams are tough, meaning mentally tough, of like, I'm going to stay in. And again, I'm throwing a blanket around all of them. So don't get mad, because again, I know the guys are different. I think Michael Kopech is a very, tough dude mentally. Again, he took a year off in the COVID season, again, to each his own. But for me, it was the Eloy Jimenez, playoff game in Oakland, where he said he could play, and then he got to second. He basically had him take him out of the game because he couldn't run. You can't really run without being hurt. And I thought him getting himself out of the game. Most guys, for you to get out of the game, that's why when Tim Anderson was hurt, like hurt, I was like, he's hurt. Like I think that if it might have been like a pool, he stays in the game. There's certain guys like Abreu, when he falls or something, I know that I'm not going to get the report till later on. If he stays in the game, he's fine. There's guys that leave the game with a hit by a pitch or something, and it's like a day-to-day, like nothing happened to them. They're
it's just crazy to think that I don't know how old Pantera is, but I feel like he's been on the.
I'm very concerned. He's never played 100 games in the big leagues.
Like he has not played 100 games in the big leagues, and you're what, 24?
Yeah, that
is very alarming.
Moncada, my concern is that he's not as big as a power hitter as they said, but his longevity does. I'm not scared of it because he's been able to play as many games as like Abreu every year. Like almost.
Before we jump off here, I think Yohan is in need of either new beginnings, or I think he's unmotivated.
I think there might be. I think that you're not going to fire because you're not going to fire the manager, but I think that something needs to be done. I can see coach. I can see coaches. I can see coaches getting fired. I can see players being released.
So Menachino,
I can see players.
Menachino's
getting sent down.
Right now.
I'm just saying, I don't see why guys don't get sent down if they have
I
options.
don't either.
I'm just saying, like you need to. I always say, I'll do this. I think that, and Brian Anderson's a dear friend of mine. I think one of the biggest mistakes the White Sox made
was not sending
him down right off the bat. They let him write it out because.
Well, it was, and the team was good.
The team was good again, but I think that right now every team is getting to a point in the season where you're not halfway through, but you're starting to feel that fatigue of pre-All-Star game. So you're going to see teams start, kind of crawling in and kind of just battling and kind of just working hard to just get to the All-Star break. Then the All-Star break comes and they'll get that break. But I feel like this next couple of weeks, you're going to see guys grinding it out, finish June, July. We're going to see a lot of movement. We're going to see teams that are going to falter and teams that might rise. But it's a very hard month because then you're going to see the teams that in the second half, they'll go on a great run. And at this point, that's what you're hoping from the White Sox, that they stay afloat. And then there's a point in when they can take a huge run. But it does not seem. And again, they're playing horrible. Everyone's playing horrible in that division.
Yeah, let us know what you guys think. I mean, obviously, they're only 5 games out, but the way they've been playing, it seems like a very, very
the way they've been playing. The way they've been playing is like they're 30 games out, but they're only 5 games out. The games are still going to be excited. I know that everyone's been here sending us messages saying, "Oh, it's Ozzie should be the manager. This guy should." You know what? God's time is perfect. Ozzie won his ring with the White Sox. If that opportunity ever happened between now and it seems now 40 years because managers get to manage there, but we're wishing the best for Tony. That's not something Ozzie takes in consideration. He's happy doing TV. He loves what he's doing. A lot of things go into that. And again, I'm going to be honest with you, man. For a long time, you sometimes miss being in the game. Right now, I do not miss Ozzie being in that seat because I know that Tony, I don't care if people think he's 100, he's whatever. Everyone on that team, everyone on that coaching staff, they're tight because this is the thing. We think it's funny because it's baseball and it's wins and losses. That's how people make a living. So a coach gets fired. That's how his kids eat. Players get sent down. That might be the difference between making $3 and $4 million. So we take it as a joke because we talk about it and we do that. But to this guy,
right now, I take it from people that have been in clubhouses.
I don't wish any of those guys. That's not fun. That is not fun.
It is not fun to be around.
And for Mr. Girardi and his family, people say, "Oh, he got the money." Yeah, but he's a competitor.
Yeah,
you feel like you're a failure. You went there with a plan to win. You feel like you let them down. You feel like you let your family down. You feel like you let the fans down. You go in very positive. I like to say it's probably the closest thing probably to a divorce because you're like, even though you're probably happy it happened, you're like, I failed. I literally failed.
Relieved.
That's, you know what? Maybe Dombrowski and Girardi talked and said, "Hey, man,
this is the best route.
This is the best route." Maybe they said, "We're going to rebuild. Again, a lot of conversations happen in those clubhouses and in those things. Again, let us know what you think. Keep watching Being Guillens. This segment turned out to be a little bit more Girardi and White Sox heavy, obviously on the manager world. But keep watching us. Let us know what you think, and we'll stay tuned. See you guys very soon.